she was set and determined to set the state record in the discus and in the shot. She set it in the shot. In the discus, when she threw it and she saw that she missed the state record, she goes, failed. Just like that. So those athletes, like I'd be thrilled. I just won the gold medal, man. Here, look at me, not her. Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Lunner, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Hey, welcome into the Fieldhouse Podcast. We are a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. Co-host Jimmy Lackey and myself, Lance Leonard, and we're anxious to get this one going. Number 46. But, Jimmy, you know, my first question always is, what's the best thing that happened to you today?
It's early. It's still early.
It is still early.
It's gonna have to come across cheesy because the worst thing already is I dented my truck with my trailer, so I had to go get that looked at. So that's
what?
That wasn't.
What?
Oh yeah, I jackknifed my trailer into the truck. Got on some cleachy and messed it up.
All right.
So that's certainly not the best thing, but I had it looked at this morning. I don't know, Lance.
You already had it looked at, though.
Yeah. It happened Saturday, so just stupidity.
Yeah, that's frustrating, isn't it?
You know, maybe
Do you fix all the dents? You want
No. I don't always. This one's pretty noticeable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
It's
if I get a little,
I've got hail damage all over it because the dealership left it out. I'm just going to say that over a weekend, and I knew we were going to have hail, and I told them, I said, if I need to take my truck home for the weekend, let me know, and They said, oh no, we'll put it up. Well, they didn't, and then they wouldn't take care of it.
What?
I'm off subject here.
No, that
was 2 years ago.
Okay, go ahead.
But, So I've run around with hail damage for 2 years, but this dent on the side's pretty thick. So
I would be disappointed in that hail damage story.
Yeah, I was.
I'm disappointed in that.
The best thing.
Yeah.
And I have not. I've been on a tried to eat a lot healthier here in the last several months.
Are you feeling better?
I don't feel any different.
Yeah, I know.
I gave up beef for Lent. That was a stretch. I don't know that I would do that again.
Yeah.
But I've been eating a lot of fish.
Okay.
But you know what I had for breakfast?
What?
My brother-in-law's in town, and we went to Schlotzsky's the other night for dinner. He and I did. So guess what I walked out of there with?
I don't know.
I walked out of there with a box of those Cinnabon cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
And I had one of them this morning. So maybe that's the best thing that's happened to me today is I had a big old fat cinnamon roll. That was way out of my range in the last several months.
Yeah. You know, cinnamon rolls have the reputation of not being healthy, but like when I was growing up, that was a big.
We ate them all the time.
All the time.
Ate them out of those cans.
Yep.
Licked the icing out of the little deal. What didn't pour on the rest of them? Oh,
kids are missing out today on those. Yeah. Yeah. When we used to go up skiing to Breckenridge, or we were about an hour and a half away, 2 hours maybe, but we would go, and there was a place midway, or not quite midway, that we would stop, and they had legendary cinnamon rolls. The place was packed. Everybody going up skiing, just stop in and get them. They were massive.
Yeah, we ate everything out of a can when we were kids, Lance.
Hot dog,
we ate everything out of cans. Yeah. So the best thing that's going to happen to me today, you hear that?
There we go.
Guess who's throwing out the first pitch at Hodgetown tonight?
You are?
Oh, heck no. Kim Lackey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the left-hander.
Very nice.
She's going to the mound tonight.
So they offered you that?
St. Mary's night.
Oh, cool.
So
it's
our church night tonight, and so she's the principal of the school, and she is throwing out the first pitch.
I've always thought the first pitch, I know this is going to sound crazy, because they do it so early, the crowd's really not there yet.
That would be good for me.
No. Somebody like Kim needs a crowd. So I think like after the second inning, believe it or not, our ceremonial first pitch with everybody there.
She was out in the backyard. Her brother's in town. My brother-in-law's in town helping with my mother-in-law. And
you know, there's a tradition.
Yeah.
And they don't let you get on the mound
you get one shot.
Town, which is, I'm like, you're ruining the whole fun of it. But they make you stand in the front of it, as I understand.
Yeah.
But I say get up there and just flip it. And she can't bounce it. Did you tell her that?
We've been practicing in the backyard.
Is it bouncing?
One did.
Well,
I said, you can't do that.
I mean, Even
I said anything, overthrow it, don't underthrow it.
Yeah, and tell her to aim. Well, she's flat. If you're on the mound, you have to aim a little higher.
No, she's flat.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
She'll be flat.
I will say this: this is how crazy that first pitch is. We're talking 9-11. Everybody's emotional. First game back at Yankee Stadium. George Bush, the president of the United States, is throwing out the first pitch.
I remember this.
Derek Jeter in the dugout goes, "Don't bounce it." Freaked him out, freaked the president out, and he's a baseball guy, so but he didn't bounce it.
No, I was going to say he did not.
But I will say this: I admire the ones who throw it in there too.
Yeah.
You don't want the little lollipop. Give it your all, and if it goes,
you're going to see a lollipop tonight.
It's all right.
I'm just telling you, it'll be a lollipop.
Yeah, I've never been asked back. I threw out the first pitch once. But I did I crawled halfway up like Wellman did the grenade, and threw it in. Wellman loved it. He told me after the game, he saw it on video.
Yeah.
The Sod Poodles did not. They were not appreciative of that.
Well, I like that idea. So
thank you very much.
For whatever that's worth.
Hey, it's number 46 podcast. Can you believe that? We have a tradition here on the Fieldhouse Podcast. Whatever number of the podcast, we come up with a player jersey, that we might have played with back in the day, or was a very famous person. The 40, and today it's 46. And Jimmy, you said you had to look this one up. Which
I did. I had to think.
When you think of 46, it's probably one of the most least famous jerseys worn by superstars.
Well, the first name that came to mind, and without looking, was Todd Christensen. With the Raiders.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
mustache.
Oh yeah.
He was such a Raider.
Yeah, big time.
He was such a jerk.
That's the number and name that came to my head.
Yeah.
When I thought about it.
I like it. Very underrated broadcaster.
Yeah.
He didn't get all the fame, and he always had the second game.
Yeah.
But I thought his knowledge and presentation was excellent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
he was the real deal. He was good at his craft.
Oh man, he used to beat up the Broncos, so that's why
he was good at his craft.
Yeah, go ahead.
But growing up, I've told you about getting cable in Dumas when I was a kid, and one of the things that we got out of the deal was WGN and following the Cubs. Lee Smith, 46.
Ooh. Wow.
He was good.
He was great,
and he was.
Was that still the era where you had to pitch? A lot of people don't realize at one time, the save category was you had to pitch 3 innings to get a save.
Mm-hmm.
Goose Gossage, a lot of his saves were 3-inning saves.
Yeah.
That might have been the start of Lee Smith's era.
Yeah. We're talking way back.
Yeah.
But that's back when, Ryan Sandberg and all that crew back in the day were, were coming up on the Cubs, and you got to see them because we had WGN as one of the 3 cable channels we had, and then I got to following them as I grew up, and was a Cubs fan. But Lee Smith.
Lee Smith, I like it.
Yeah, I liked him.
My 46, also a Chicago guy, believe it or not, Doug Plank.
Yep.
Okay. Buddy Ryan came up with the famous 46 defense. It was and the safety plays a major role in that type of defense as far as being physical, covering, probably calling the defense too as well. And so Doug Plank was Buddy Ryan's safety at that time, the famous 46 defense. But I always associate 46 with Doug Plank.
Yep. Yeah, I remember him. He was tough. He was tough. Anybody on Buddy Ryan's defense was tough. You had to be.
Were you at the time that Buddy Ryan came to Amarillo?
Mm-hmm.
And how was that?
At the Santa Fe building.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It was back in the day.
Was it a WT thing, wasn't it?
It was Ronnie Jones.
Ronnie Jones.
Ronnie Jones worked for him.
Yeah. Was
his defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
At Arizona.
Yeah.
And they brought him in for an event, and
with his sons.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting because growing up in Dumas, Roy Ryan, no relation, was good friends with him, and they came to that event. Yeah,
with Buddy Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And
how'd that happen?
I don't remember where they met.
That's crazy.
Way back in the day, may have been at college. I honestly don't remember
That's
where
cool.
Mr. Ryan and him met. But they were very good friends, and I got to see Mr. Ryan at that. That was as big a deal for me as growing up because his son Jeff was a couple years older than me, and But getting to see Mr. Ryan, he was an insurance agent up in Dumas, but they were the best of friends, and it was just interesting and coincidence that they both had the last name Ryan.
That is
to my knowledge, there was no relation.
Yeah, that's
familial wise anyway.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I went to that event.
Yeah, it was interesting to see his. A lot smaller than you think.
Mm-hmm.
A lot nicer than you think. A little bit of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what I was trying to think before I walked in.
But he. Well, that was a unique team, and it was probably the perfect depiction of what a little bit goes on. I think things are better in most locker rooms today, not necessarily 100%, but it just goes to show it's a business, and the offensive crew and their coaches do things separately from the defensive crew and their coaches, and at that time, they were very divided.
Yeah,
Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan weren't the best friends.
No,
but they made it work.
Yep,
and had a heck of a football team.
Yep,
but certainly didn't agree on everything.
No.
But it was a good depiction of how locker rooms can be at even the college level between offenses and defenses.
Yeah, it's underrated.
Sometimes there's not a lot of love lost.
No, they do meet totally separate. They do have their one. If they let the ones they call go with the ones, and they do clash on the field.
Yeah, that's when it gets ugly.
But that's not very often, quite honestly. Yeah. So, yeah, it can get a little dicey.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a new thing, but the great head coaches kind of know. Leave it alone. It's going to be okay, like with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Or we have to figure something else because we've got to be united on the field at least. So
McMichael was in that group too.
Yeah,
and he just passed after all those years having ALS. There were some characters. They did the music video and Sweetness is in the middle of all that. It was a fun group.
Super Bowl shuffle. Jim McMahon, obviously, when he's your quarterback. So.
Yeah, he was.
This day, though. To this day, in that Super Bowl, they give the ball to Refrigerator Perry and not to Walter Payton to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, sad deal.
Yeah, sad deal.
I agree. I agree on that.
Yeah, that was a pretty unique team, and that's why they won. Hey, we just had our vote. We're not going to get political on the show, and I will say this. I can say one thing. Voter apathy in this city is sad, okay? You're talking 16,000 people determined, the mayor, our commissioners, everything, and very, very disappointed in Amarillo for voter apathy, and I can say that without being political. So really nobody can complain. Very few people. If you're one of those 16,000 who voted, you can go complain. City this big, though, my gosh, ridiculous. But I came up with a unique question for you, okay? Who would be the mayor of the Dallas Cowboys that currently live? If you had to vote for a mayor in Dallas, former Dallas Cowboy, who still live in the Metroplex, here's your candidates. Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Randy White's kind of on the edge of it, but he still lives there, or Tony Romo.
Staubach, hands down. Great leader, level-headed, military background. He brings all the tools to the table that a leader needs. There was a lot of those things. I don't have a military background, but I have the biggest affinity and a tremendous respect for people that have served in the military. But Roger Staubach's bigger. To me, he's bigger than football. He's been a successful businessman, asked numerous times to run politically for governor and every other seat in the world, and chose not to do all that.
Smartly so.
Yeah, but he's so cerebral, and every year I look forward to the Army-Navy game because they always have him on game day. When we went in 2019, he was there, and that was fun to see.
Heisman Trophy winner from Navy.
To see him up there on the stage.
He served his 4 years, by the way.
And the other gentlemen that you mentioned there, they're all tremendous Cowboy historically, but to me, Staubach, from a pure leadership standpoint, he was as good as anybody. And I will say he was as good a leader for a football team as anybody ever had on a football team. College, pro, you name it.
Along with being in a quarterback controversy with Craig Morton, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It wasn't like Landry handed him that job. That's what's even crazier to me. Troy Aikman would be very good. He's once he gets into something, he's 100% in. He's very organized, very detailed. Emmett would be just okay. You know what I mean? He
would be fun.
He would be fun. He would be the funnest of them all. Randy White, a little up there in age. He's like, but he would be interesting. And then Tony Romo, I don't know.
Emmitt Smith, I have a lot of respect for Emmett because when he was in town that weekend, we're checking out football gear. He came by here and met our parents and met our kids.
Yeah, no, I do.
He didn't have to do that.
Hey, and I ambushed him on the golf course we had a pigskin preview at that time. Yeah. And he took a picture with the pigskin preview.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Really.
So I have a lot of respect.
He wasn't thrilled, but he said, let's do it.
Yeah.
So,
I have a lot of respect for him.
Not great, but it was an idea anyway. Hey, I was down at the UIL State Track Meet in Austin last week.
Glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
I
Go
thought
right
about you. No, I just thought about you the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
You got to see some
Hey, I
special
got a
stuff.
couple
That's
questions.
all I wrote down was track.
Okay. You get the next question, but I was going to ask you. Friday, we learned something down there. Amarillo's not the only one who has doomsday weathermen, okay? Austin predicting like the doomsday of all doomsday. Rain, everything on Friday night. And a cold, as we've learned our weather up here, a cold front came in, kind of just knocked it down, knocked it out. You know what I mean? An unexpected cold front. No rain, but they can't postpone, the Friday night racing of the 5A, 2A at 3 o'clock and postpone it till the next day, Saturday morning.
Okay.
And then later on this week, the UIL golf tournament was held, Jimmy, and they had massive rain down there. The last 3 holes 2 days ago, as we speak on this podcast, were played in the rain. The next day was completely rained out.
Washed out.
They shortened the event to 18 holes. I disagree with that 100%.
Yeah, that's not what they prepare for.
Well, that's not. Yeah, I agree.
That's not what those kids prepare for.
And so if you wait a couple of days, I get it. It's a golf course. You probably don't have a reserve that day. I don't know what you do. So I need to come up with a solution before I go in all out. But this was not for the betterment of the kids. That's what UIL's about. This is not the ideal situation. 18 holes, golf, you have a chance to regroup, get your act together. But no, they KO'd specifically the 5A, which we had Tascosa in, was 18 holes. I think the 4A Randall did get it in. They're all at different courses, things like that. But yeah, I want to say that. The 2A and 5A athletes handled that remarkably. Here's my opinion. They let it at 3 o'clock, they told them. The event wouldn't start until 5. Parents, all that, could adjust.
Yeah.
But anyway, they ran, and they have it down. So
I was just fixing to say
they call it a running. They call it a running event. So a moving event.
Yeah.
They have an official name for it, but you don't wait like this sort of the exact time. You just run the next event when it's ready.
Yep.
A rolling event.
I've only been to state track meet once. This will tell you how long ago that was. This was back when it was still in Memorial Stadium.
Memorial.
And but just watching how it was operated.
Yeah.
It's like a well-oiled machine. And coaches and I mean, runners are the only ones allowed on the floor. Coaches, for the most part, aren't allowed down there either. And so it is.
Coaches aren't allowed down there.
You get down there and it is.
Throwing coaches are. They're the ones who have it
Correct.
over everybody else.
Correct.
The shot put and discus coaches. And high jump.
But how they operate that, and you know as well as I do, there's some of those folks, ladies and men, that both work that track meet. They've been doing it for years wouldn't give up their spot for all the tea in China.
They do it for free.
Yeah.
All volunteers, you know what I mean?
So, and they wouldn't give up their spot.
Yeah. So, times a 9.92 100-meter dash. I saw.
Yeah.
He's a junior from San Antonio. Does not play football.
Yep. Yet.
No. In fact, somebody asked him that in the press conference. Well, it's a quick presser after he's on the track, but so what would, and he just said, I don't play football. And said, look, I'm a track guy and I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
I ain't playing football. So don't throw me that noise. You know what I mean? I was impressed.
There's plenty of good track
programs. Can you imagine running that fast as a junior in high school?
No.
the all-time fastest 100 meters ever run, certified time by a high school athlete.
Yep.
And it happened right there in the state of Texas.
That's awesome.
Right there in Austin.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got to see some incredible athletes down there. The young lady that throws the shot and the discus for Childress.
Yes.
Holy smoke.
Yes.
She's good.
Yeah.
Form is incredible.
Going to Oregon.
Yeah.
Wonderful young lady. Some athletes are on a different level, Jimmy, and I wasn't one of those, so I didn't get it. But Miss Wiseman, if we want to call her that, Taylor Wiseman.
I think it'd be wise of us to do that.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah, great lady, great young woman. Very, very, like an individual sport. Growing up in Childress, it's team oriented stuff. She had to handle all that, and she did a great job of that. But she's motivated. But I will say this: she was set and determined to set the state record in the discus and in the shot. She set it in the shot. In the discus, all 6 of her throws, this is how dominant she was, all 6 of her throws were first through 6, okay, wow, in the competition of the discus and the shot, by the way. When she threw it and she saw that she missed the state record, she goes, failed, just like that. So those athletes, I'd be thrilled. I just won the gold medal, man. Here, look at me, not her. Failed. That was the first word. And I, in my own way, learning how unique some athletes are, I was very impressed by that.
Watching her highlights, the first thing that came to my mind is she is extremely well coached. Somebody got a hold of her at a young age, and from a form standpoint, taught her really well.
Well said.
Her form is immaculate to watch.
And the best news is, how would you like to go to the University of Oregon?
Yeah.
She's a Duck now. The facilities
Olympic
alone,
trials are there.
We're talking Nike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's going from Childress, Texas to Oregon on a track scholarship.
Yeah. And that's where that's where they host the Olympic trials. I mean, the biggest track meets in the world are held there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for her.
Yeah, I agree.
I
agree. That was one of the most impressive. Bryce Braden from Stratford went out in style, winning both the shot and the discus, state gold medals.
Talk about those Panhandle girls.
And those but he's going to the he's going to Air Force,
yep,
where he's going to play football. But I will say this: he's not the most emotional guy. Okay, he's just not. He's kind of that cool, calm guy. Keeps it under control. When he threw the number that he had to win the shot, it was pumped up. I love seeing that out of him.
That's good.
Yeah. And then the Panhandle girls, competitive as any high school you're going to see, and that's a compliment. I'm not sure they do at Panhandle, but when they show up at an event, whether it's a basketball game, football game, and this track meet, they do not back down from the pressures of being on the biggest stage track offers in high school.
Yeah, they're
won it by 2 points over. So they maxed themselves out. At 72, they maxed it out. And by that, I mean they pretty much got the most points they could possibly get with the athletes they had. That is a tip of the cat. Three-peat, Jimmy. Three-peat.
Yeah, they're impressive.
And of the 3, this is the first one they didn't have to share it with another. But took out Refugio, who was the heavy favorite, 72 to 70 in points. And 72 points at state is a lot.
That's a bunch.
Yeah. That was very impressive. And then Canyon.
I was fixing to say, the Bristow kid. Holy smoke. She's impressive.
Yeah. Well, that whole program's impressive. They're very competitive. You know what I mean?
Well coached. I mean, it goes back to, they're well coached.
Baca.
Yeah, he's as good as anybody.
Yeah. Cade is down there, and, it's amazing what they do. But Addie Bristow, the 800, she sets the state record. 1,600 sets the record. And since they were on that rolling clock, her normal time to rest for the 1,600 relay, which is the next event, was gone.
Yep.
And she ran the anchor leg, and they set a state
and got the baton behind.
Yes, and set the state record in that as well.
She's phenomenal.
Yeah, and she's humble pie, man. It's ridiculous. How'd you do that? And she just kind of laughs. Yeah. One thing that I admire about her most is anybody who's run track, you don't want to embarrass yourself in the event, especially the 800, 1600. So she goes out. Addie Bristow goes out, and we've seen that at a track meet. Oh my gosh, they're coming back to us. They may be done by the middle of the race. You know what I mean? Addie Bristow never comes back.
No, she's gone.
She is winning these at 7 seconds, 10 seconds at the state track meet.
Yeah,
amazing. It was a lot of fun to watch. But I will say this, and I've saved this for last for you. A little Dumas girl, 5'2", 97 pounds. Freshman, yes. And Emily Gross is her name. Lost to Canyon and Randall, great ladies as well, both going to be college athletes. At district, at the area meet, and then at regionals. And what's cool about state track meet now, they give a wild card, which means we have 4 regions, so the top 2 in each region qualify for state. Whoever finished third in those 4 regions with the best time is your wild card. She was the wild card going in,
yep.
And dadgummit, she won state.
Yeah,
she
was in 4th coming around the last curve, and
I would say she
4th.
I would say, yeah, she might have been 4th. She might have been 4th, yeah. And then she put the Jets on, and you know, Brooke French at Randall got 2nd. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is in the 3,200 meter. Mm-hmm. And Brooke says, yeah, I was shocked to see her come by me. You know what I mean? But, wow, what a career ahead for her. She also ran in the 800 and 1,600. And in the 1,600, remember we also have a wild card, gold, silver, bronze from District 4 4A.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about you the whole time because we didn't get to have our podcast last week because Lance didn't know for sure whether he was going to get to go or not. And I was thrilled that you got to go because I knew you were going to see some special stuff down there. The track meet is if you haven't seen a track meet at that level, college or high school, either one, you really need to go watch it because you see some raw talent that you don't see in other sports. There's just so much more individual stamina that's involved with each of those kiddos, and they put on a show. Whether they're on the whether they're over there in the pole vault pit or high jumping or whatever it is they do, they're special. And you catch that one just like that kiddo from Dumas. Nobody. She wasn't on the radar screen.
No,
I'll say
to win it.
No, I'll say this. I was really proud. My daughter and I went up to Dumas last Wednesday or Thursday. They have their annual scholarship banquet, and we give out the scholarships from Dad's golf tournament. And so we went up and gave out $9,000 worth of scholarships. And one of the kiddos that received our scholarship was at the state track meet.
Wow.
So Kennedy and I just took a picture of his check because they give him one of those big checks. So we just took a picture of his big checks, cropped us out of it, and said, Ty Waddell, he was at the state track meet. And so thrilled for them. They had 2 kids that got scholarships that day. They were both down at the state track meet. And, that's
what it's all about.
The fact that they're athletes and they have those academic standards going for them too always impresses me and makes me proud, and especially being those kiddos from Dumas. And so I enjoy going up to that scholarship banquet every year, but it was kind of cool to take just a picture of the kid's check, knowing that he's at the state track meet.
That's cool. I love that. I love that you guys did that. So, what's on your mind today?
Jalen Conyers. We haven't got to talk about him. We missed last week.
Yeah.
Thrilled for him.
Yeah.
I know he wanted to be drafted. I know you got a chance to interview him a little bit, talk about what he said and how he was feeling. I think he was pretty upbeat, and he's going to the Dolphins, and he can go show them what he can do.
Yeah,
and he's got some talent around him too.
He had a watch party, which I'm okay with. You know what I mean. So, but it was 7 hours.
Yeah,
you're sitting there for 7 hours, and you know how outgoing as he is. We had him on the podcast here, one of our favorites of all time. But he sat on that couch, man. It was just kind of intense, for really not talking to anybody. A couple of course, Jalen being Jalen, he's got 2, probably 5th graders. That's who he wants next to him. Somebody who can just keep him calm and just have some fun where there's nothing absolutely serious. But he did not get drafted. But immediately after, the San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy, and the Miami Dolphins both were on the phone. And so maybe 5 minutes after the draft, he came in, had his Dolphins hat on, said, I'm a Dolphin. You know what I mean? So, and if you listen to all the experts, I disagree with them a little bit in this, and I get it because you want to have your future, and I think he's got a future. He's got a chance. Once he makes a team, he's going to find a way, first of all, to be a great presence in the locker room. Second of all, to get on the field. And that's all that matters.
His raising will benefit him at that level.
Yeah.
Because he's
went to West Texas High.
He's smart.
Yeah, he's smart. Went to Groover. His path to the NFL was Oklahoma, Arizona State, and then he had the great year at Texas Tech this past year. So, yeah, so thrilled for him. Great guy. It was a little awkward to sit there for 6 or 7 hours. You're like, but I will say this. He handled it professionally. And I was going to tell you, though, like a lot of the experts say, look, don't worry about not be taking the 7th round. You can pick the team you want to go to. But I will say this. Seeing him sit there, the thrill that he would have had to have his name announced on the big stage.
Well, he was on the list. I texted you a picture.
He was.
I texted you a picture of Mel's top picks remaining, and he was on that list. And I was sure hoping then that one tight end went right before those last 2 or 3 picks. And I thought, that probably not.
And then like the Syracuse, not that I'm an expert on, but the Syracuse tight end went, Jimmy, maybe 5th or 6th round, and he wasn't like ranked in a lot of the top 12s.
Yeah.
And you could tell Jalen kind of reacted to that one like, I don't think it's going to happen. You know what I mean? You could just tell. But it happened. He's in the NFL. He grew up in Stinnett. He grew up in Groover. And he's in the NFL. How
his
amazing
work
and
ethic
cool is that?
will move him down the road too.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that one up.
Yep.
Hey, I want to bring up one other one, and we've talked about it. Speaking of track, we don't mean to make it a full track show, but Matt Stewart, the head coach at West Texas A&M, maybe the most underrated coach in the history of WT.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. The Lady Buffs won their 5th straight Lone Star Conference outdoor track title this past weekend. The Buffs also won their 5th straight.
Yep.
Amazing coach, gets kids in here and makes them better, doesn't mind recruiting international or local. And I just want to give a shout-out to Matt Stewart.
Well, think about it. We're not the destination spot for track recruits.
Right.
From a weather standpoint, it's rough.
It's rough.
They practice at our indoor arena some, during the wintertime. And I'm thinking – and we've got kids from, the Belfield girl, and they're from overseas.
Yeah.
And they come to Canyon, Texas.
Yeah.
I'm thinking some of these kids, and these are on national championship teams, and they're national champions in of themselves, and they come here. So it's more than just that. They're coming there they got a good coach.
Yeah, they do have a great
coach.
And
it comes down to that, and a program that's got a tradition going, and it's fun to see. And
it is.
Hopefully we can get them an indoor track here before too long.
That would be awesome.
That would be a nice addition for them. And so, it's again. I go back. I love track meets. I grew up a coach's kid. My dad. I'll tell you a funny story. I got my dad in trouble. I was in 2nd grade, and I went with my dad to the track meet one day. Rode the bus with the guys, and I followed my dad all day long. And he kept spitting, and I was fascinated with watching him spit. And so we're sitting down that night. We get home, and Mom had supper ready, and Dad had walked off. I guess either go wash his hands or go to the restroom. And Mom said, "Well, did you have fun today?" I go, "Man, I did. I love that track meet." And she goes, "What'd you learn today?" And I said, "Daddy spits like the grasshoppers." She goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, he spits like the grasshoppers. I catch grasshoppers and they spit in my hand and it's brown." She goes, "Bill, have you been chewing tobacco again?" He goes, "What?" She goes, "Have you been chewing tobacco?" And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, uh-oh. I got my dad in trouble that day. But
he was okay with it.
I was fascinated as a 2nd grader watching my dad spit brown
that
spit
is awesome. That's an awesome. I love that.
Got him in trouble.
That is such an awesome story.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't do this a lot, but I had one other thing. Jimmy Panhandle Sports Hall of Fame ceremonies coming out. You guys do an amazing job.
Stacy and Kiva do a great job.
Stacy and Kiva.
And Maddie behind the scenes.
Have changed the game We urge you to attend this. We will have 3 inductees who we can name for sure, and that's Austin Johnson, the all-time leading scorer in Amarillo basketball history, Paladuro, Oklahoma, played overseas as well. Then you have Natalie Ritchie, who happens to be the all-time leading female scorer in the history of Amarillo. Had the amazing career at Amarillo High. Incredible young woman, and maybe the prettiest shot we've ever had in Amarillo as well, but went on to Texas Tech. And then the Tank, Coach Scott Tankersley.
Best guy in the world.
I probably had 5 or 6 texts from coaches say, "Hey, when is this? I gotta come see Coach Tank be inducted." And was born deaf, or maybe deaf early in his life, but since like 2, learned he can read lips with the best of them, but he can also speak a little bit. And I might have told you the story. Him and his mom for years, they would stand in a mirror together. She would put a word up, okay, like house, and he would practice saying the word house.
Yep.
And that is how they did that. So
Scott's a great guy. I've known him a long time.
And he won state championships. Caprock Wrestling girls were dominant.
Yep.
He won over at San Jack in basketball. Had a great softball program at Bushland. So he's very diversified as well.
He's smart.
Yeah.
Real smart. And
he's a preacher now.
He's a lovable guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I love about Scott is he's just such a lovable guy. But, this threesome, they're still young.
Yeah.
That's the other part I like about it. They're representing the youth. Usually get a bunch of old guys up there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
This is a youthful group.
Yeah.
And, Scott being the oldest of the gang. But, my gosh, Austin and Natalie have to be in at the most early 40s.
Yeah. I would say
most,
so,
probably.
yeah.
And so
raising families. Austin has a daughter that's an amazing player in middle school right now. Yeah, you're right.
It's a youthful group, and so that's a nice change.
Yeah, and anybody listening, just a reminder, Kids Inc. hosts the wing of the Panhandle Sports Hall of Fame. Really does a nice job. It should be more attended, but people just stop in, but it's a really nice. It's an outstanding thing that Kids Inc. has done by hosting this as well. I just want to say that out loud. That it's really a fun day, and pack your lunch. It can get a little long, but hopefully we'll get that down so people can come in and actually enjoy it.
Don't think Lance and I aren't cracking the whip on that as best we possibly can.
Yeah, we believe in a faster. That's because we've experienced some that have gone at some really elite events that have gone really, really fast. And you're like, well, if they can do that, we can do that. Yeah, but it's a great honoring of not only the past greatest athletes we've ever had in the Texas Panhandle, but also what happened across the year. Yep. So you get to see
all of our current coaches and athletes of the year.
And they're on the same stage, which is kind of a cool photo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
But I wanted to say that, and that'll be in early June, so we'll talk, mention it to you as we do the podcast. But what else do you have today?
I'm going to give a quick shout-out to my staff. This has been a busy, busy time right here, especially in our Amarillo office. We have 5 sports that are underway, and it's just a hectic time. It's end of school. People are getting ready to plan vacations and things of that nature. But 5 sports coming in at once is a lot on our staff, and we're prepared for it. They know it's coming. We'll get a little break in the summer, and then it'll come back again in the fall. But they do a great job. Maddie can tell you the phones ring off the wall. There's not enough people to answer all the lines sometimes, and we got lines, back to the door. And part of that's procrastination society. They wait till the last minute, and they're all coming in at one time. But our staff just handles it every time, and it all gets done. And I'll say the same for our staffs in Hereford and Dalhart and Elk City. We found out this week that we're going to get to host 2 sets of state tournaments in Oklahoma at our Elk City facilities.
Congrats.
For both softball and baseball. We got some different age groups state, and we got some regionals as well. So they're excited over there for that. I'm really happy. We've bid on them every year. We send in that check every year and bid on it. and this is the first time we've got state tournaments.
Well, that's cool. Congrats.
Yeah, so it's a big deal for them over there.
It is.
And our softball and baseball numbers in Elk City are out the roof and have been for a long time, and they deserve to get to host a state tournament over there. So we're excited for everybody over there getting a chance to do that.
Yeah, that's cool to know. Yeah. Hey, and on next time we'll talk a little bit at Rock Rose, but instead of the money situation, how close we are, we're going to have Jimmy go in a little in depth, but actually what is going to be at that facility. So when you show up with your youngster, this is what the coolest part of it is. Yeah, getting it done is a lot of work, a lot of entities. We've learned how to get together, but once it's built, the day-to-day that'll happen on a Saturday is going to be phenomenal. And we'll save that for next time.
Let me ask this, and I'm going to ask Maddie. She's sitting off camera here. Maddie, if I brought a PowerPoint presentation of the 3D renderings that they've created, would that be something that we could show on the screen and kind of talk through and be able to point and talk to?
Let's do that and show actually what's going to happen.
Yeah, the architects have done some tremendous 3D renderings, and 3D renderings at the end may look a little different, but it's going to give you a 90% view of what this place is going to look like. And I've got 20 slides.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So we could plan to do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do that. That'd be great. So
I'll give a little teaser. We've increased the number. We can talk pretty significantly, and we can talk about that next round.
I did not know that. That's a new one on me. Hey, I wanted to say one last thing before we get out of here. I'm not a big horse racing guy, but I'm kind of the Triple Crown type. I watch those. I did. Mind That Bird was from Dalhart, Texas, the owner or the trainer. And so the long shot of long shots to win it, friend of mine was going down there, so I put $50 on Mind That Bird to win it and won like $900,000 out of $50. But I was going to say, Sovereignty won it, okay? Yeah. And then as immediately said, I'm not running in the Preakness. Kind of disappoints me.
Yeah, me too.
I realize the health of horses, they know what's going on. I'm 100% clueless about actually what it takes, but I want my Derby winner to run in the Preakness and the Belmont to try to win the Triple Crown.
That's what we get for assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but no, I was disappointed in that part of it. I'm just going to tell you.
We
will not have a Triple Crown winner this year.
I will tell you, and my granddad raced quarter horses, so I've been around them all my life. And back in the day when Raton had a track, we used to go to Raton a lot when I was a kid. And we go to Ruidoso every summer at least once and spend a day or two at the track. But I will never not be concerned for those horses, especially when they're running in the mud.
That's cool.
And just thankful that none of them were hurt.
Broke down.
Yeah. That's spooky to me.
No, that's cool.
And
you have
and
a whole
those
different perspective.
And they're going so fast.
Yeah.
And for them to come out of there, and that also tells you how well the horses are trained, how good those jockeys are at what they do to manage and finagle around.
Track the best possible it could be in those conditions.
And coming out of the gates as tight as they are, because they're slipping and sliding as they're coming out, trying to get in their rut.
Yeah.
And so it's impressive. There's a whole science behind it, and I don't know very much about it, but I know enough to know that it takes a lot of training and a lot of trust between that jockey and the horse too. And so kudos to all of them involved. There's a science.
Selfishly saying I want to see Triple Crown.
Oh yeah, I get it. I totally agree with you. And that's not what you expected to hear post race.
Yeah, post race we're not running. Yeah. It was Raton.
Raton used to have
Raton.
Either one.
I'm laughing because New Mexico has all those unique. I've driven through Raton. I don't know what I call it. I'll have to get away from this conversation and see what I call it. Raton. I was just curious why you call it Raton.
When we were in college, they had a bus that left Amarillo and came through Dumas. $17.50. We could ride the bus. It paid our ticket in at a booth with a TV.
Really?
Which we never sat at. We always went down to the track and a ride home. $17.50 full day.
Full bus usually?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There was 4 of us that used to do it pretty regularly.
I didn't know that. I did not know that story at all.
Yeah, we used to go to the track pretty regularly.
The only track I've spent any time out was in Loveland, Colorado, and not a lot at it, but in college, the dog races on I-25 in Colorado, were Loveland, Denver, Pueblo, and Colorado Springs had a track as well. So, but in Loveland, we used to go. We had no money, so we'd be out of it by the fifth race or something. You know what I mean? We're like, all right, just sit and watch him. But we went because the rabbit was named Wizmo. Okay,
Wizmo.
They bring a rabbit around, and then those dogs, electronic rabbit, would chase those. But the announcer would go, "Here comes Wizmo," and everybody go, "Yeah." That was the loudest applause, but yeah.
Yeah, we
That's
went.
what I remember about
The bus,
Greyhound
you
racing.
could also go. You could go Saturday and come back on Sunday. And so every now and then we'd go and we'd pool our money and we'd get a hotel room and we'd go hang out at the bar where the jockeys hung out and get to know all them. Can try to figure out how we're going to get our money out of this deal.
Gosh,
But you know what the name of the bar was?
Annie,
Get Your Guns. We had more fun hanging out at that bar with the jockeys.
That's
Than
cool.
probably anything. We probably did that at least once a summer.
That's pretty
We'd
cool.
go spend the night and pool our money and get one hotel room. Whoever slept on the floor and one person got the bed, we'd draw straws and spend the night and go to the track the next day and catch the bus on the way home. $17.50.
Love those.
Couldn't do that today.
You couldn't. I love that story. So, hey, let's hop out of here.
Thanks.
Man. And just a reminder, next week, Jimmy's going to break down what's going to go on. We're not going to talk cashola. We're just going to tell you once the facility is built, that here's what's going to happen. And it's going to be amazing.
Yep.
Every day, every time that we're out there. So
I'll be happy to.
Hey, thanks for joining us. This was number 46. We are a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. This is the Fieldhouse Podcast. And like we like to say, we'll see you when we see you.